This facility is outfitted with examination areas, public service counters, interview and detention rooms, all of which will allow us to serve our stakeholders with greater efficiency. I wish to extend our profound appreciation to the Urban Development Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago and the Office of the Prime Minister for spearheading this project and their continued support to the division as we seek to fulfill our mandate in protecting the borders of our twin island republic. As a body operating within the larger context of the same system, it is essential that Customs and Excise continues to build capacity by working in collaboration with other like-minded entities, such as the Port Authority of Trinidad and Tobago, in a constantly changing environment. It is my belief that greater presence here in the Southland will serve to ensure the division's visions of meeting our security mandate, as well as the need of our local and international trade stakeholders. And for this, I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Maitland-Jack. I kindly welcome to the podium the Honorable Sando Development and Local Government and Member of Parliament for San Fernando West to deliver his remarks.
Thank you very much. His Worship the Mayor, the first citizen of San Fernando, the Honorable Minister of Finance, my cabinet colleague, Mr. Colum Imbert, the Honorable Brian Manning, Parliamentary Representative for San Fernando East, Chairman of the Board of Directors of UDICOT, Mr. Noel Garcia, members of the Board of UDICOT, members of the Customs and Excise Division, distinguished guests, representatives of the larger industrial area of commercial operation, Answer Macal Group. I see Joseph Rahal here. I see Kiran Singh, the president of the proper chamber for San Fernando. I wouldn't say greater area. Members of Zurinas, one of our well-known contractors in San Fernando and across the nation, who are the performers of the works that were executed here today, their engineering team, distinguished members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for this opportunity to bring a few remarks. I'd like to say to His Worship, San Fernando's history is beautiful. And he painted for us what this area looked like. San Carlos, Plaza San Carlos was its original name. It then became the King's Wharf. In Port of Spain, there is the Queen's Wharf. It shows you that the King's Wharf came first. Oddly enough, we now have a king of the United Kingdom again. But right here, in this commercial hub, was the life of San Fernando. We had the railway station. We had Thorpe's. We had Rodriguez Building. We had bustling enterprise. There's the Black Cat Hotel. There are lots of iconic features of San Fernando that became entrenched in our history. So Mayor Regrello can tell you about the days when he actually rode on horseback in San Fernando. And I can tell you the days when I was a Sea Scout at Presentation College, and I would literally swim these waters every single Friday from here to Farallon Rock and back. It was a task getting past the abattoir, but I will just tell you that we grew up on the sea and we were part and parcel of the wharf. Today you see what is. You may not know where Customs is coming from. Customs is coming from a 20-foot container located on some boards a little way away from here. And as Member of Parliament for San Fernando West, when I came into office, I said to the people of San Fernando, I will give it my all at seeing the development of San Fernando. And for me, analysis paralysis had to end and just start had to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, San Fernandians know that we have spoken about the development of the waterfront for decades. The waterfront, the waterfront, the waterfront. As I was campaigning in 2013, 2014 and 2015, this area was a stockpile for overgrown grass, lost material and piles. And just behind us lay only the destiny of the forgotten. Squatters, shacks, no electricity, no water. San Fernando West is comprised of 25,000 voting electors, 11,500 of whom live in HDC, 3,500 of whom are in squatting conditions. It is a city of dichotomies, the very wealthy and the very poor. And along this waterfront, thanks to the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister, and I'm saying this publicly, funded by the Minister of Finance, who through very lean times, when the price of oil went to $26 a barrel, and through COVID when West Texas Intermediate was at minus $2 a barrel, the Minister of Finance underwrote the vision that I advanced to the cabinet and that the cabinet accepted, and that Dr. Rowley, as the line minister of UDCOT, agreed to accept. In this vision of the waterfront, we stopped being nebulous, because the waterfront was before 2.5 hectares of land which was just filled. What it was filled with, nobody knows. There was no environmental management clearance. There was no engineering to be found. It was just filled. And we have spent 6.5 years, 6.5 years, complying with the law to obtain the environmental management approval for the waterfront. 6.5 years. Ladies and gentlemen, the dredging and filling works take 6 months. 6 months to fill 3.8 hectares of land with 6 years of analysis. And we are now standing at the point where 3.8 hectares will be put into location from this site as forward operating office to move the container customs out of accommodation with no bathroom facilities into this forward operating office. Picture 3.8 hectares development about to begin. And from this 3.8 hectares, which the Minister of Finance put onto the parliamentary record in this year's budget speech, I can tell you that that reclamation of 3.8 hectares will cost us $78 million. I can tell you that that's underway. I can tell you that just next to us is the fishing depot. And that fishing depot returns a form of life to San Fernando, which has been earmarked to cost $38 million and is underway. I can tell you that our coastal protection waterfront works, $67 million, now underway because we got the EMA approval. I can tell you that the Lady Hales widening, which is underway, which you've seen, in respect of which is a lot of dust, is $136 million underway. Because my submission as Member of Parliament for this area was, how do you come to access all of this on a single lane carriageway? Where do you articulate? How do you move? How do people enjoy the space? And in that vision, I asked the cabinet to approve, and they did, that we take 14 acres of land where the PTSC garage was for decades, facing glass-like water on the sea, the best sunset, the best use that the country could find for those 14 acres looking at the seafront was a garage for the PTSC. You may notice as you pass down there now that the garage is gone, it's been dismantled. I give my personal thanks to Noel Garcia for ensuring that the coordination works went ahead with my colleague, the Minister of Works and Transport, and the PTSC. And that PTSC relocation cost us $15 million. And the housing which goes on that site is $207 million of waterfront development, Miami-style housing, already put into the hands of the person who won the bid, that is Karamat Engineering, and that is afoot as we speak. That takes, therefore, this waterfront talk about the waterfront and the waterfront with this nebulous idea of sometime being filled into divisional pieces. Because along that way, you passed 1,000 car parks at the San Fernando General Hospital. That is near completion. Along that way, you see the connection of Rushwood Street coming to the waterfront as it ties into the $207 million housing development. Along that way, opposite Rudall Cemetery, you see the Ministry of Works site cleared and development to go at that point. Along that way, you pass our overpass from the Curtin Rienzi Highway, connecting Ramsaran Street in Bakade, where children have been killed crossing the road. Now we have a walkway to allow people to access the left-hand side and the right-hand side. But go further, and you spot Skinner Park ahead of you. The last time Skinner Park was developed was under Errol Mahabir as the Minister and the Member of Parliament for San Fernando West. And yet still to come there will be, if it is accepted, a secondary car park which can pay for itself, and then we connect the Skinner Park ground across to the cross-crossing strip where our version of Arapita Avenue begins. And therefore the waterfront is no longer nebulous. It is from Skinner Park all the way down to Plaza San Carlos, creating $1.558 billion of investment, creating jobs, creating homes, creating a better community, creating life for San Fernando. Because Kiran, why would you stop in San Fernando when the highway connects to Point Fortin? What draws us here? What has developed the core of San Fernando? We see the suburbs developing. We see C3. We see South Park. We see Gulf City is the only one inside of the area that you can count. But everywhere else is suburban development with no reason to stay in the core of the city. And therefore our city's infrastructure has been left, prior to this government's tenure, it has been left to the vagaries of where the wind blows, and stopped when the last train to San Fernando stopped. So I say to my cabinet colleagues, especially the Prime Minister, especially the Minister of Finance, to UDICOT that has had charge of connecting division, I confess to being an open nab for the city of San Fernando. I confess to holding the value of people close to my heart, but I have had the privilege of the support of the Prime Minister of the Republic, the Minister of Finance, our deputy political leader as he now stands. And all that I can say is that San Fernando's best days are ahead of it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your enterprise and your effort. The Lord God has blessed us with some good weather today. And let's not make any difficulty about that, as I've taken by far too much time in bare remarks. But thank you for this opportunity. May God bless the city of San Fernando.
Thank you, Minister Ravi. We will now have some light entertainment from panelist Shakiyu Flobo Forbes of Skiffle Bunch. very much, Shaquille. And now, ladies and gentlemen, kindly welcome to the Honorable Minister of Finance, Mr. Cole Mimber, to deliver the feature address.
Thank you very much. And before we begin, just let me apologize on behalf of the Honorable Prime Minister. As you may know, there is the annual energy conference in progress in Port of Spain, and some very important developments have occurred. And in fact, the Prime Minister is having a press conference this afternoon at 4:30 to address that matter. So he apologizes for his absence, and he has asked me to deputize for him. I had to change up my speech a little bit, and I'll have to ad-lib a little bit. So first, let me recognize the Honorable Faris Al-Rawi, Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, and the Member of Parliament for San Fernando West, His Worship the Mayor, Alderman Junior Regrello, Mayor of San Fernando, my colleague in the Ministry of Finance, Minister Brian Manning, who is also a Member of Parliament for San Fernando East. We have a series of officials here from UDICOT. We have Deputy Controller of Customs with us, who spoke. And we have many distinguished visitors from San Fernando, Mr. Kiran Singh, and many other invited guests. So let me just welcome everyone, all distinguished ladies and gentlemen. As I was driving down here today, I thought about the MP for San Fernando West. We used to have an MP like him, MP for Toco Sangre Grande, Roger Boynes. Roger Boynes used to tell us, I'm not getting anything in my constituency. So Paris is the new Roger Boynes. Because far from Roger Boynes getting nothing, he got everything. So as I came down here and I saw the Skinner Park development, I said, yes, that's our MP for San Fernando West. And I'm quite interested in the activity that I'm seeing in San Fernando. And I'm also glad that Minister Al-Rawi gave you the amount of money we're spending in San Fernando, 1.6 billion. We spent 16 million in my constituency, I'll be happy. But I'm really happy for San Fernando East and San Fernando West and the city of San Fernando and everybody associated with San Fernando. I can give some details on the waterfront project. Minister Arawi gave you some dollar figures, but I can give some information on exactly what we're doing here. UDICOT engaged consultants to develop the master plan for the project in 2021, May 2021 actually. And the plan was completed in November 2021. And in February of 2022, the San Fernando Waterfront Redevelopment Project, the report was approved. The project is expected to deliver a series of opportunities for tourism, expansion of the business sector, improved transportation, development of recreational and leisure facilities, increased family-oriented spaces and activities, as well as preservation of historical assets, such as the Plaza San Carlos. It's been done in 3 phases, and there will be opportunities for public-private investment. The project's already completed. The relocation of the PTSC to facilitate the construction of the mixed-use development that Minister Adwari spoke about, that housing development. I must say that relocation took a little while, but it's finally done. The relocation of Wassa's water trucking facility to facilitate again the widening of Lady Hills, and the relocation of the customs and excise building to this area. projects that are in progress include the widening of the things I just spoke about, the San Fernando waterfront car park, the Bayshore housing development, the fishing facility, and the projects carded for this year and beyond would be more land reclamation, a coastal defense system, the mixed-use development we spoke about, the restoration of Plaza San Carlos, the Hatters Panyard. Now, the widening of Lady Hales will improve this important road to a 4-lane dual carriageway. It will improve intersections with Todd Street and the Renzi Curtin Highway, extend Rushwood Street to connect to Lady Hales, as Minister Alwari pointed out, construct a bike path, boardwalk, and a pedestrian overpass, again spoken about, across Renzi Curtin Highway and the widened Lady Hales Avenue. It's a significant project, it's a serious project. With respect to the car park, it is expected as the waterfront develops, more and safer and secure parking will be required. And the San Fernando waterfront public car park consists of a 9-level structure with an overall floor area of 300,000 square feet and will provide approximately 1,000 parking spaces. It's expected to be completed in this year, 2023. The Bayshore Housing Development Project. The strip of land known as Bayshore is located in Marabella, bounded by the Guaracara River, the San Fernando Yacht Club, and the Gulf of Barrow, in private lands. The Bayshore North area measures approximately 40 acres. It's vested in Trintopec, currently managed by Palo Seco Agricultural Enterprises, and further to the north there are 10 acres of land mostly vacant, intended for development and construction of single-family units under the Land Settlement Agency. UDICOT has the responsibility to complete the infrastructure work at the Bayshore North area to accommodate these housing units. And work commenced on this project in January of 2023 and is expected to be completed by the end of March or April 2023. When this is finished, LSA will be responsible for the construction of 80 single-family housing units and a further 50 single-family housing units, which will replace the dilapidated structures within the existing development. As we come in here, you can't help but see them. The fishing facility. This will establish San Fernando as a premier fishing zone. It's expected to cover some 2,242 square meters, or for those of us who went to school when inches and feet and acres were relevant, about 25,000 square. And consists of fish cleaning areas, retail fish vending market, net mending areas, engine repair areas, boat storage, lockers, etc. The work is expected to begin within the first half of this year and take just over 1 year. The completion of this building, the Customs and Excise building, King's Wharf, sets in motion the commencement of another series of notable waterfront redevelopment projects, such as the land reclamation, the coastal defense system, Plaza San Carlos, and so on. The land reclamation project will seek to reclaim 3.8 hectares, again for those of you who know Imperial, that's about 10 acres, of the coastline at King's Wharf. In addition to the 1.6 hectares already reclaimed, the total land area will support multiple land use such as a hotel, harbour, parks, amphitheatre, transportation hub, and so on. Construction is expected again to commence in this year, 2023. The Ministry of Works is also engaged in a coastal protection project which will seek to protect all of the reclaimed areas and all the activities that the San Fernando Waterfront Development Project will sustain. The mixed-use development is intended to provide in a public-private partnership, private and public, I would say, a a number of 2 and 3 bedroom units for medium income housing with some commercial areas. The project again is expected to commence this year, 2023. And if you had come down Lady Hills, you would have seen the site for that. The Plaza San Carlos Historic District project seeks to preserve the local history and heritage while fostering economic development and tourism. It will involve the restoration and regeneration of 7 historical buildings found in the area, including the Trinidad Government Railway Building, Thorpe's Garage, San Carlos Building. It will be an open pedestrianized area with attractions such as an art gallery, museum, and commercial spaces. Again, this project is expected to begin in this year, 2023. And I now come to Hatter's Vineyard. The Hatter's Steel Orchestra Vineyard has been impacted by the project, and therefore UDCOT, as part of its social responsibility, has taken the decision to renovate the Hatter's Vineyard and return it to a usable area for the steel orchestra. There are a number of things to be done, such as renovation of the existing 2-story building. Mayor, are you associated with Hatton?
No.
A kitchenette, a roof, pan shed, modern security fencing, and so on. And of course, as Minister Ravi told us, we have the Skinner Park redevelopment project, and there's also another important project being executed by UDCOT, the restoration of the Sisters of St. Joseph of Cluny convent building for use as a family court. So that is what we're spending 1.6 billion on. And I'm very happy to be part of this. All jokes aside, I'm very happy to be able to contribute in whatever way I can to the redevelopment of San Fernando. I must say, Mayor Regrello, I saw you down to make a welcome address, but your historical tribute to San Fernando and your own personal experience as a customs clerk, I really appreciated that, I must tell you. That gave a personal note to these proceedings. So, let's talk now about the Customs and Excise Bureau. The improvement of accommodation and outstations from which the Customs and Excise Division operates is a key item on the agenda at the Ministry of Finance. And we're very grateful to UDCOT for facilitating the Customs and Excise Division's transition to this new facility as Customs works with all our other divisions towards strengthening its contribution to our national objectives of revenue collection, trade facilitation, and border protection. Over the last several years, the Ministry of Finance has systematically strengthened its engagement and cooperation with the Customs and Excise Division, as the division worked not only to enhance its revenue collection and trade facilitation, but also to improve and upgrade its national security responsibilities. And this afternoon, I wish to share with you some of the key aspects of our work plan for the coming year. The cornerstone of our plan is the establishment of the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority, which after more than a decade of technical work and stakeholder consultations was initiated with the passage and partial proclamation of the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority Act 2021 and the appointment of the board of the Revenue Authority in June of last year. The overarching objective of the Revenue Authority is to create an innovative, data-driven organization that will optimize revenue collection and trade facilitation through the modernization and streamlining of services and systems. By way of an update, the board of the Revenue Authority, following its appointment last year, worked assiduously to meet its statutory obligation, because we put this in the law, to deliver a strategic plan and an operational plan to me within 6 months. That was their mandate. They had to deliver these plans within 6 months of being appointed, the plans were delivered on time and are currently engaging the attention of Cabinet and will shortly be laid in Parliament on or before the statutorily due date. In the interim, the Revenue Authority Board is forging ahead with the recruitment of key personnel such as the Director General and the Corporate Secretary. The board is also working to craft a communication plan and to build out the structure and work plan of a transition office to oversee this very complex and highly sensitive process. I must tell you, I am very pleased and heartened by the response of the staff of the Customs and Excise Division to the ongoing initiatives towards the establishment of the Revenue Authority. Contrary to what you might read in the papers, and there are a lot of negative commentators, the staff of the Customs and Excise Division have made themselves freely accessible to the professionals working on the project and have willingly assisted in the provision of data, information, and insights to facilitate the development of a seamless transition process from the two divisions, Immigration and Customs, into the Revenue Authority. As the authority takes shape, I support the commitment of the Revenue Authority as far as possible to engage throughout the process with the staff, provide clarity to each member of staff in terms of their chosen career path and their future within the authority or within the wider public service as they decide. Recently, we've had a lot of talk about scanners. I made the point that Trinidad and Tobago scans, I think it's 5 times or 7 times more containers than are scanned in the US, and 10 times more than are scanned in the European Union. But it seems that my point was misunderstood. The point I was making is that if we were to scan 100% of containers, trade would grind to a halt. And I was quite intrigued last week, when I received a letter from business organizations complaining about the time it took to scan containers on the port and asking me to do something about it. And I just shook my head and I said, we're scanning 17%. If we scanned 100%, I can't imagine what they would put in this letter. Now, that's the society we live in. We have sort of a schizophrenic approach to matters. People want 100% scanning, but they don't want any delays at the port. But anyway, we recognize that Trinidad and Tobago sits on a drug trafficking corridor. Let's not hide from that fact, which links the drug producing regions in Central South America with the large drug consuming markets in North America and beyond. This traffic has generated high levels of violence and gang-related crime in the country. And as we all mobilize to counter these nefarious activities, it is imperative that the Customs and Excise Division upgrades its fleet of mobile scanners to provide enhanced non-intrusive inspection coverage of imports and exports. To achieve this, an international tender notice was issued, inviting tenders for the supply, delivery, installation, and commissioning of 4 large-scale, non-intrusive inspection, high-medium mobile X-ray systems. Since the invitation to tender, the Customs and Excise Division and the Central Tenders Board have worked assiduously and have continued to engage with interested parties. And it is anticipated that the tendering process for these 4 new large-scale mobile scanners will be completed by the end of February 2023. In fact, the staff told me by the 7th of February, but I know how things work, so I say by the end of February. And after that, we'll move swiftly to select an appropriate supplier and receive, commission, and establish our 4 new mobile scanners. In terms of security at Port of Spain, I know in San Fernando, we have to look at the whole country as a whole. The Queen's Wharf in Port of Spain has been identified by the Customs and Excise Division, as well by a Joint Select Committee of Parliament, as an area of risk. Specifically, a security and risk assessment of the operations at the Queen's Wharf identified risks such as smuggling of weapons, drugs, alcohol, tobacco, pharmaceuticals, and the like. In response to these threats, the Customs and Excise Division has identified measures to enhance border security at Queen's Wharf. The measures will include strengthening of the entry and exits and the walls to restrict vehicular traffic to and from Queen's Wharf, as well as the establishment of a unit of the preventative branch of the Customs and Excise Division to facilitate joint operations with other law enforcement agencies. The division is currently working with the Port Authority, the Ministry of Works and Transport, and the police to expedite this project in the most efficient manner. Another issue that we have, we all read the papers, I don't want to say unfortunately, we listen to the radio, we watch TV, and we are, while we know that transit sheds and private warehouses provide an invaluable service in terms of trade facilitation and revenue collection, we at the Ministry of Finance and in the Customs and Excise Division are acutely aware that these transit sheds also form part of our border security. And we have begun to work to facilitate the inspection and improve the efficiency of security at all transit sheds and private warehouses. You will have seen over the last several months a number of operations where weapons were found in barrels and other small crates coming through these transit sheds. Of course, nobody knows who sent them. Nobody knows who was supposed to receive them. Nobody saw them. So, a request for quotations is being prepared by the Ministry of Finance for the acquisition of cabinet X-ray equipment, as well as trace detection and chemical identification systems to be deployed at all transit sheds and private warehouses to make sure these operations are properly secured, monitored, and regulated. A cabinet X-ray system is essentially a smaller scanner that can handle a large barrel or a small crate, similar in design and function to what you have at the airport, but much larger, of course. We also intend to take other measures, such as the regular change-out of all security locks and the installation of improved and independent CCTV coverage of operations at these transit sheds and private warehouses. It's the only way to deal with this. Because there's absolutely no doubt, constantly I'm told by national security that we have to deal with the issue of illegal weapons and illegal substances coming through these transit sheds and private warehouses. We also are dealing with integrity. So we're creating an internal affairs unit headed by an assistant controller, regulatory, in customs. So we're moving to fill a post of assistant controller, regulatory audit, which was created by cabinet many years ago, but for some strange reason was never filled. We expect that this office, the internal affairs unit of customs, will oversee the operations of the post-audit unit and the internal affairs unit with the aim of combating corrupt practices within Customs and Excise Division. The objective is twofold, whereby the post-audit unit will review and investigate the operations of importers and exporters to ensure conformity with the laws, while the internal audit unit will review and investigate the operations of staff themselves to ensure that professional standards are maintained and illegal transactions deterred. to, I'll say a brief word about scrap metal. In August of 2022, the government enacted a 6-month ban on the export of old and scrap iron. At that time, several containers of scrap iron were caught in the ports of Port of Spain and Port Places. By several, I mean almost 100. We in Finance mandated the Customs and Excise Division to re-examine these containers of scrap iron to determine if any stolen items form part of the consignments for export. We have discovered during this exercise stolen articles such as copper clearly stolen from TSDT and other stolen items such as pumps and other machinery stolen from companies within the energy sector. It's a very difficult exercise, but having done it, we have so far unstuffed about half of the containers, and we will be completing all of them in the very near future now that we have the technique well sorted out. But we're not doing this alone. We have an engagement with US Customs and Border Protection, and in seeking to strengthen our enforcement capability, the Customs and Excise Division has moved more closely to engage with our partners at the US Customs and Border Protection. And during this month, several initiatives will be rolled out. There will be a seminar on Customs and Border Protection and Integrity geared towards senior level Customs and Excise Division and finance staff. There will be continuation of efforts to strengthen our non-intrusive inspection capability with upgrade of our existing fleet, and also dealing with the whole question of tracing containers from the port of departure, because I asked the US Customs, why is it that we inspect and scan up to 20% of containers and we inspect 3%? Why? They have a very sophisticated system of tracing. So they check the container from the time it leaves the port, and as it goes through all the various ports and is transshipped, they check it. So by the time the container arrives in the United States, they already have a profile. They already have a very good idea whether that container contains contraband or whether it's bona fide. And we have to put that kind of sophisticated tracing system in place in Trinidad and Tobago. And that will, of course, help us in terms of efficiency, in terms of ensuring that trade is facilitated as best as possible. We'll also have, with the assistance of US Customs, supervisory and mid-level leadership training for our staff, valuation training, and strengthening of our canine division with the purchase of additional canines and upgrading and development of our canine facilities. Let me just give some brief information as to exactly what the project is about. You will have seen this building. You may be aware that the customs operated out of a small container. Completely unacceptable. It's a modern building, all the necessary facilities, toilet facilities, and other areas for staff, office facilities, air conditioning, and so on. And if you had walked down on the left, as I did when I came in, you'll have seen a T-shaped jetty, which certainly will allow the customs now to use this location as an official port of entry, so that shallow draft vessels, pirogues, and other flat-bottom vessels that come into San Fernando bringing goods and also bringing people can be inspected right here, right next to the new customs facility. So this jetty, I want to congratulate you, Deacon, for having the foresight to not only construct a building, but also construct a proper, modern jetty where customs will be able to complete the full range of inspection and evaluation. So, as I said, it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to represent the Honorable Prime Minister, and I want to give everyone the assurance that we in finance will do whatever we can to address the current just got approval for the appointment of 82 new customs and excise officers and therefore that is going to boost the personnel complement of the customs and excise division considerably. And we also intend to have continuity through the engagement of suitably qualified retired customs and excise division personnel. So I thank you for being here. It's indeed a pleasure to be in San Fernando. I don't always get the opportunity to come down here. I cleared my calendar this afternoon to be here. And again, I want to tell you that the two MPs in San Fernando, Minister Manning, Mr. Alwari, have the full support of the government of Trinidad and Tobago, and for San Fernando, the sky's the limit. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister of Finance, Imber, for your feature address. Thank you, Minister Alwari, Mayor Mugello, and Mrs. Maitland-Jack for your welcoming and informative remarks. I wish to thank Reverend Taku Ramnath for our opening prayer. A special thanks to all the contractors on this project, especially Zorina's Maintenance and Landscaping Company Limited, to the CEO and members of staff of UDIPOT, and all who worked tirelessly to make today's ceremony a reality. Operation and captains of industry, to our entertainer Shaquille Flobo Forbes, a hearty thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the community, members of the media and listening public, thank you again for your kind participation. This part of our ceremony brings us to the cutting of ribbon, after which the Minister of Finance and his entourage will proceed to the area for the unveiling of the commemorative plaque. The entourage, of course, includes His Worship, the Mayor, San Fernando East and West members of Parliament, the Deputy Controller and the Permanent Secretary, contractors and special invited guests, and the rest of us who remain seated.
Down the stairs. To the unveil. String is there. String is on your side. Yeah. Right. Oh, the shorter one. Shorter string on the side. This one? Yeah. Ready to go. Ready? Yes.
Folks, please excuse me, I'm on an online meeting at the same time.
It will be secured by gates on the outside. The public will not be able to come through this entrance. We have office area here, as well as a detention room and an interview room. Yes.
Competing with Chase. Me competing with Chase. What you belly? I'm clear. Come on. Reverse.
Yes, sleeping quarters, two sleeping quarters here for.
Right, so they're working on a night shift.
Yes, night shift. Communications room.
All right.
And then we have male and female. This is the end. Male and female showers and bathrooms. Yes.
Just, So Kiran, you are going to come to the
Yeah, thanks. I like it.
Mr. Jim. Mr. Jim. Who always in the gym?
Me? Yes.
Yeah, right.
I was wondering if you want a Spanish translation.
I think the
French
first one
interview.
Just those two words. So what's it? All right.
Tika.
Progress. South Mara is at a cusp of development at this point. We're very happy, very pleased with what is happening here based on the commitment of this Prime Minister, because so many persons before spoke about this development. But I think this administration wanted to keep rolling with this happening. We should be very proud as a San Fernando. Every San Fernando here this morning, this evening, should be proud of this.
Thank you.
Car park already under construction.
But the car park is almost complete. This is the contractor for the project. So they would start the project. The facilities on. We had some issues with the relocation
To where they are right now.
They didn't want to
But
move,
it's in-
yeah.
Yeah, but it's in the way of the reclamation.
So that can't work.
and they made it more politics
Of
than
course, as usual.
they saw housing that is on its way. So all of these people, these shacks.
Yeah, I was wondering where you putting them down up so.
Yeah.
Up so.
So we are going to clear out all of them. We're going to start the rehabilitation and restoration of the old railway station. We are partnering with that, so we're going to make for the Plaza San Carlos, they own one of the properties.
Yeah, I remember Rahal told me.
Right, we are
He's working with them
buying
now.
one of the properties, which we should do by the middle of February. And once that housing project is finished, we're going to clear away those squatters. So
Yeah. But the whole area is going to be uplifted.
it's a
I could
lot,
see that.
Right. And when they finish, how long is your dredging going to take? And reclamation?
Will be on site. On site, the reclamation will take around 12 weeks. Yeah, on site. Yeah, I mean there will be compaction works and so on that will take a bit longer. Yeah, but around will be here around 20 weeks. Yeah.
So all those shacks by the fisherman facility right now, what you planning to do? Yeah, what you planning to do? Leave them there? You taking them out?
I don't know what is the funny thing. All of those things were paid for by a previous
That's normal,
administration.
yeah.
And they move and replace.
That's
They remove and they replace. So we have when done you this-
But that's stumbling. I mean, in Diego Mountain, we paid for somebody in the way of the highway 4 times.
Yeah. Well, it's all,
In Tobago,
but
twice.
behind that,
Yeah.
Brave Boy has done negotiations. So we are ready.
So you're cleaning up all there too.
And they demolish the whole area.
So from the PTSC, from San Carlos, all down here will all be new. Nice.
And
Nice.
there's two squatters on the Lady Hills, and we were coming up. This is almost ridiculous. There's an ice factory.
Yep.
Which is a squatter
business place.
blocking the part of the
Yeah, normal thing.
and they want TV there, saying they want relocation, the dust affecting them. So
But in the
hopefully-
way of the highway.
And some of them constructed within the past year or so.
Yeah.
It's recent?
Yeah.
Wow.
Concrete building after PTSD.
So they must have known that it was
Yep.
happening. Yeah. That's smart.
Good afternoon, Minister Sagasti.
No,
I noticed
I'm not doing a press conference. Okay, I'll talk to you in a little while. No, but we're not doing a press conference. Okay, I'll
No
talk to you in a
questions.
little while. No, I'll talk to you in a little while.
All right.
All
What
right. See you up there in a little while. All right.
Sure,
No
okay.
problem.
I like general council.
You what?
After general council.
Right. Well, let's go back up.
Okay, let's
Thank you.